Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
Boy, that was fast. Adobe's backpedaling already on Animate. They're saying, hey guys, just to clarify, we're going to go into maintenance mode. You can still use Adobe Animate.
Well, we said that yesterday. You said you still can use it, but it's not. They said they're not doing the full support for it.
Right.
But you might need the support for it. So yeah, it's maintenance mode, but it still means the same thing they said yesterday, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's going to go into that mode. You can still use it, but it's not all fully supported.
They're not going to update it. So what happens? What happens if Windows 12 comes along or whatever, and it breaks it? So
or an update, because they do that all the time too, and it breaks everything.
Right. So let's talk about this now. For those of you who missed the video yesterday, what this is referencing is Adobe suddenly announced that they were going to discontinue Adobe Animate, which is the modern version of Adobe Flash, and a lot of animation studios use that, and they're like, oh my God, this is like years and years and years of files that we're going to have to somehow rebuild in another program. And they only gave people less than a month to until they discontinued it. Now they're saying, well, you've got your files or access to your files until 2027 or 2029, depending on who you are. But everybody's like, that's it, F Adobe, we're out. And then they're like, oh no guys, let's clarify what this actually means. I'm like, no, you wouldn't have done this if it didn't hit your stock price. And that's what
the stocks were dropping like crazy yesterday.
And now this is part of a bigger thing, because a lot of people think the AI bubble might have kind of burst already, because the whole NVIDIA OpenAI spat that's going on. A lot of people are selling off their AI related stocks or their software as a service. And now all of a sudden Adobe's rebounding. A lot of these news outlets missed that Adobe just pissed off their core audience, which is creatives. Again, I mean, for the freaking 15th time this year. But now they're like, okay, guys, it's all right. We're going to walk it back. And then we've got Moho, which is a competitor, capitalizing on it. They're like, yeah, we'll give you $100 discount on a lifetime license. You want to come over here?
You're not paying it monthly. Yeah.
You want to come over here? So, that's the thing to do. That's what Affinity did before. They were capitalizing on all the anti-Adobe backlash. And here's the thing, like me personally, I don't trust Adobe as far as I can throw them. I'm going to be honest, because this is a company that is chasing the AI chuck wagon, and they're all about subscriptions, and you're going to pay forever if you want to access your own creative stuff. It might be okay for now, but what about a year from now? What if they get a new CEO? Again, what if Windows does something that breaks the software and it's been deprecated, so they're not going to bother fixing it? So whatever, but we're going to see what they had to say. So before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, you'll get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
If you'd like to help support our creative endeavors, go out to Kickstarter or sign up to be notified when we launch the re-offer of Crimson Ren Volume 1, getting ready for Volume 2, hopefully later this fall. Jose's been working on some art for that. So check it out on Kickstarter. The link is in the description. Thank you very much for the support. So we got to give a hat tip to our friend Sarah, who follows the animation industry very closely. And not long after we posted the other video, of course, this always happens. We posted the other video.
We're always too fast.
We're always too fast at things. Yeah. So that's what she said. But no, I
did say. No, I'm kidding.
Anyway, so we post it, and then like an hour or two later, there's this update. So thank you, Sarah, for sending that, putting that on our radar. And this is just a reaction to the stock crashing and to all these creatives taking them to task on social media. There was a video I watched yesterday. There's an animator who does Flash animation on YouTube, and she basically said her career as a YouTube animator might be over because this is the only animation software she uses. And it's like, I'm done. Like, thanks, Adobe. But I'm also like, everybody needs to have multiple baskets. You can't just put all your eggs into one basket.
Well, that's what we see real quick. That's why we see like certain artists and stuff be obsolete, because you have to be able to adapt. Your style too. You have to be able to adapt somewhat. Anyway, continue.
I will continue. Yeah, there you go. That's another lesson learned, guys. Always stay nimble. Never get comfortable. Things change all the time, especially when it comes to the creative industries, right? So Cartoon Brew has it. Adobe U-turn says Animate will remain in subscription-based Creative Cloud, but with no future updates or innovation. So again, until they break it, or until, you know what I'm saying? Because eventually that's going to happen, because I've used old deprecated software before, and as soon as an operating system update comes along, sometimes it breaks it, or even a graphics card update, it breaks it. And I would love, I mean, seriously, if I had my way, I'd still be limping along on like Photoshop CS1 or something because it does everything I needed to do. I don't need the newer version, but because the operating system, Windows and all that, it breaks this stuff. So they said less than a day after triggering widespread backlash with its announcement to discontinue Adobe Animate, formerly known as Flash, Adobe has walked back key elements of the announcement, clarifying that the software is not being discontinued and will remain available to both existing and new users.
It's not being discontinued,
Bullshit.
but they are not supporting it like they're supposed to, though.
No. And I think Adobe, before it's all said and done, given where they're at right now, I think they're going to get sold. And just because they say that, it's a long time between now and 2029, right? Just because Adobe says your files are safe, everything's good, it's all good here, we're good here, doesn't mean that the next CEO or the next owner won't come in and say, you know what, this is worthless, we're not going to do it anymore. I'm just saying.
If they were smart, they'd walk back the whole decision entirely, but that's just me.
If they were smart, they would sell an offline version that would basically run forever. That you could,
and that's what the other place is offering, and it's like you get a lifetime.
Lifetime. Yes. Moho, which a lot of studios are moving to that. I know a lot of people are talking about Toon Boom. Toon Boom is the industry standard, but it's also incredibly expensive. But Moho is pretty good. I've never used it, but people say it's really good. So there you go, guys. If you want an alternative, you might want to start. I would tell you to start looking at alternatives regardless, because it's pillow talk, baby. It's lip service. I don't think they're really going to put anything into it. It said, simply put, you can keep paying for a Creative Cloud subscription to stay in the Animate ecosystem, but you will never get any new features or developments in return.
Yeah, so you still have to keep paying for it, but
and that's what all these companies want us to do. They all want us to pay forever every month to access our own shit. And, in a lot of cases, we're stuck with that. Like, we have to, because we've depended on them. And, Adobe's heel turn really started with that monthly subscription. And they tried to sell it originally as like, oh, this is going to be good for people that can't afford to drop. Because Creative Suite, I mean, Geeky can testify, it was like $2,000 or $3,000 back in the day to buy the whole thing. I actually bought mine used, and it was still expensive used, but at least I owned it. But then they tried spinning it to people like, well, you don't have to, put it on a credit card and finance Adobe. You can
pay a monthly fee.
You can pay a monthly fee.
Get charged more,
Right.
I mean, there were some things in it that you got access to that you wouldn't have access to with just buying certain programs, but still it was.
I don't use most of that stuff.
But you end up paying far more than you ever would have paid if you just bought it outright.
I use like 3 programs from Adobe. I use like Photoshop, Illustrator, and occasionally some of the audio, video, programs. That's about it for me for Adobe, and it's not worth having to pay, $30 to $60 to $100 a month forever just to be able to access those programs, right? And then the thing that sucks is if you upgrade, you bring it into a newer version. A lot of times you can't walk it back. Like, oh, I'm gonna open it in Photoshop, 2025 or something, like, nah, I'm gonna go back to 2018 or whatever. And it's like, oh no, you can't do that because we broke it. So on Adobe support page, company posted, we are not discontinuing or removing access to Adobe Animate. That's what they said. They sent an email out that said that they were doing.
They said they were, but they said that they were, as you have a month, and then it wasn't going to be supported anymore, is what they said. And then they said that, they're going to give people like 2027 for the regular, and then 2029 for like the corporate versions, that you can still use it, but it would be in a, like you said, in maintenance mode, or it would be in a non-supported mode, is what they said.
Yeah, but that means shit could go sideways.
That's exactly what it means.
No
and they're not
recourse.
Changing that though.
No recourse whatsoever.
Are they changing that? Doesn't sound like they are. They're just saying the same thing. They're just wording it differently, is what it sounds like.
Well, then maybe before you send an email out to people basically saying, hey, we're ending this shit, because that's the headline was like, we're done with Animate. Maybe you should have been like, hey, we're done with Animate, but don't worry, don't worry, guys. You're good forever. It's just we're not going to update it anymore.
I'm not seeing how this is any different, though. What they're saying that they're going to put it in maintenance mode for all customers, individual small business ones, depending on your thing, and then individuals was 2027, and small businesses 2029. But that's the same thing. They're just wording it differently. They're just
What's different was they gave people a deadline before this. So there's no longer a deadline or date by which Animate will no longer be available. And they said before it was 2027. Yeah, until 2027 if you're like an individual, and I think it's 2029 if you're a studio.
So they took those dates off.
Yeah.
But nothing else changed. They said you had those dates to get everything, figured out. Those dates are gone, but how is that any different? Because you just said you don't have an end date, but it's still going to be in the same maintenance mode that you were going to be in before. It's just that now there's no end date. And at that point, most people would have gone to something else anyway. So nothing. How has anything really changed other than those end dates are taken off?
Well, people were panicking because they're like, oh shit, we need to figure something out.
But it's the same thing.
I know it's the same thing. Here's the thing, regardless of what they said, these are changes from what we shared in our original email. No, it's called, we got a lot of backlash and everybody's canceling.
Verbiage changes.
Yeah, and they're taking the hard date away. But regardless, do you think that unless you keep your computers frozen in time, that by 2029 it's still going to run the same way it does now?
That's
right?
That's what I'm saying. Even though there's no end date, they took those end dates off, but it's the same situation. It's going to be in that mode. That's not going to be updated. So other than taking the dates off, they didn't say, hey, we're walking it back and we're still going to keep it open. That's not what they're saying.
No, I guess my thought on this is, look, if you're dumb enough to continue using this and they want you to pay a subscription because they know everybody's got all their shit on there, right? And they know everybody's got the files in that format. So that's how they get away with charging you monthly for it. If you are dumb enough to continue using this software after this shit, it's on you. Because, again, they could snap it tomorrow. They could say, oh, there's no date on it. If they get sold or something, or they have a new boss come in, they could just be like, you know what, fuck it.
What I'm saying is, it's like saying the grass is green. And then people complaining you said the grass is green, and they're saying, no, I'm sorry, we worded that wrong. We meant the grass is blue and yellow. I mean, that's what this is.
Well, yeah, but no, they did give a hard date for when you would no longer be able to access your files.
I understand. Okay, I understand that. I'm aware of that. But they're not changing anything. They're still saying we took those dates off, but everything else is staying the same.
Yeah,
so it's still going to be the same problem.
I know it's the same problem. That's what I'm saying. If you're dumb enough,
okay, yeah, hooray! That changes nothing really.
If you're dumb enough to believe them, after all the other shit that Adobe has pulled over the last just like 2 years, especially we've been covering for 2 years, that's on you. If you lose all your shit tomorrow because they have a brain fart or they sell to OpenAI or something, which who the hell knows what's going to happen now, right? That's on you because the starting gun has been fired. Okay. You have got to migrate your shit into another format because you cannot trust Adobe.
No, and dates be damned. It's the same situation.
It's the same situation.
Just they didn't give you a hard date now.
Right.
Ooh, that changes nothing really.
This is kind of like the switch to Windows 11 from Windows 10. They're like, we're not going to tell you to upgrade from 10 to 11, but just so you know, we're not really going to support it very much. So you might get some viruses. It might just not run right. It might not run your software right.
We're doing the bare minimum.
We're doing the bare minimum, and you still have to pay a monthly. So get this, if you're subscribing just for this animation software, you still have to pay them monthly from now until the end of time to be able to use it. Or you could start migrating your stuff over to something like, Moho or to, I guess Toon Boom, I think is subscription too, but find a solution that you actually own the damn software and you own, you have access to your files.
If they're going to not support it anymore and they're going to do other stuff, shouldn't they give you a price break?
They should. They should be like, if it's deprecated, half price, quarter price.
They're not gonna, but and they're probably you watch them raise the price. Trying to drive people off. They need to be offering a reduced price. If they're not putting support in it, they should be putting it in until you can get migrated. Then the reduced price, but they're not. But they should be.
We are committed to ensuring Animate users have access to their content regardless of the state of development changes. No, they got their asses called out because there are some big studios that are still using it, and I'm sure they got phone calls from because we know Smiling Friends, which is huge now, is on
I know
Adult
my kids
Swim.
love Smiley Friends.
It's massive, and they use it. And I'm sure they probably got phone calls from the people behind the show or the studio, like, we will fucking sue you
I
if
don't know
you
if they said that, but
remove
yeah.
access to our files, or if you cost us millions of dollars because we're forced to migrate to something else because of your bullshit after you guys wined and dined creatives for decades. Like decades, they had, oh, Adobe, everybody wants to use Adobe. You want to use Adobe, right? Because you're a creative individual. Yeah, bullshit. Now they're an AI company that just the vestigial tail of what they used to be is like, oh yeah, we'll just, we're gonna
This
keep
is
it
it. Everybody
maintenance
keeps
mode.
going all in on AI, and it's so bad and so dumb because AI as a tool, I think, is very fair, but they're trying to go. They're trying to run
Too
before they can
fast.
walk. They're trying,
Yes.
yeah. They're not
Yes.
even. They're not even crawling yet. They're barely crawling, and they're trying to run. And it's like it's not going to work. You're going to fall on your face and knock your teeth out. It's
They're
just
not
the way
even
it is.
crawling right. Some babies,
They're
they
crawling
don't.
sideways.
They go sideways.
They're crabbing it right now.
As parents, some babies, they're trying to get the crawling thing down, but they just kind of scoot around on one leg. Yeah, in circles.
Our son would only crawl backwards
He would only crawl backwards. Yeah.
for the while. He would only go backwards.
He jumped before he could walk too, which is weird. He would jump. It was very. I think he got the idea. Like that's he got. But what I'm saying is, they're not even, like you said, they're not even crawling. They're not even walking. Like AI is in its infancy right now, and they're all like, "Well, that's it. Just burned everything down. Let's just go all in on this shit."
That baby's an adult. Tell it to go get a job and inherit the
Go get a
house,
job. Who cares? You're only 6 months old.
Well,
Get a
the
job.
baby burned the house down. What the hell happened?
Yeah, right. So in a Reddit post, Adobe community manager Mike Chambers apologized for the company's earlier email, admitting it did not meet our standards. Did you write it with AI?
Wait, they're going to blame it on somebody else that did not meet our standards. And 10 to 1, it went through probably a couple different checks before it was posted. That's how corporations work.
Yes. So the intern got shit canned, right? And
someone got blamed for it, and they weren't the final say. Anyway,
it caused confusion and angst. He stated that Adobe Animate is now officially in maintenance mode, meaning no new features will be added, but the application will continue to receive security and bug fixes. Again, that doesn't account for operating system changes, or that's the problem when you have deprecated software and deprecated systems. Like the one company I worked for, we worked with government information. We still had to keep old DOS machines active. And I swear to God, we had a Commodore in the basement or something because the software they were running was no longer available, but we couldn't even upgrade the computers. So we basically had to keep the old computers limping along just for this, these one or two software packages that were made back in the 1980s. And that's what this reminds me of. Like, you might have to have like vintage, if you're going to continue to use it, you might have to have like a vintage computer offline, frozen in time, just to be able to run this shit so you don't accidentally upgrade your operating system and break your maintenance mode animate. It's like just, oh my God. But yeah, it's going to continue to receive security fixes. Okay, so Adobe may blame poor communication, but the original message seemed clear enough to everyone. And the updated response feels like damage control after overwhelmingly public backlash. Yep.
It sounds like the same thing over again, just stated differently, is what it sounds like.
We're going to be nicer this time and take away the dates. Yeah, the original message strongly suggested a countdown toward removal, including specific dates, prompting justified alarm across the animation industry. Only after users pushed back publicly and in tremendous numbers did Adobe attempt to soften and redefine its position.
It redefined its position. Only thing they redefined was they took those dates off. Everything else is the exact same thing.
Okay, this is where I'm at right now. Because, look, they fired the starting gun. You need to run away from Adobe. The sequence raises serious questions about trust. Can studios, educators, and artists buy the company's assurances about long-term access and stability?
No.
Nope. It's likely that many spent yesterday planning ways to transition away from Adobe. I would still do that. You cannot trust them.
I've been telling you this before this happened.
I told people so here's where I'm at. I've been telling people to go to like Affinity, which I love. Affinity, I think, is a great Photoshop and Illustrator alternative. The problem is Affinity got bought by Canva, so it's a matter of time until they just either get rid of Affinity because it's an offline version that you own, or rolled into Canva, and then you have to subscribe too. I mean, I think what we need are more viable open source alternatives that work as well as the corporate stuff. The problem is, since they're open source, and a lot of time it's donations and
Well, the problem is too, though, as soon as something gets big enough, it gets bought up, and that's
Yeah.
the world we live in today. And I think it's a big core problem with everything, including the AI situation. Is you got all these companies, and they used to be companies were like private companies, family companies, things like that, and they cared about their product, they cared about consumers. Then they got eaten by the big corporations with boards and investors. And as soon as you get boards and investors involved, they only care about feeding the giant machine. And that's why everything's going to a subscription. So you could buy it, it'd be offline, you'd be good to go. But now it's all about, and then you have more problems because you have to pay a subscription that's online. But they want those customers paying, those pay pigs paying every month to feed the investors in the giant, 1%er machine. And that's what's going on here too. It's like when they're smaller and they were offline, it was okay. And then when they became bigger and bigger and they wanted more money, because, the way they have it set up with investing, they all start making decisions like you have to pay subscription services. It's why when you buy your car, sometimes you have to pay to use your heated seats, or when you buy a fridge, you have to opt out of having ads run on your fridge.
I know,
so
it's
they can
ridiculous.
make sure they keep you paying. I'm surprised they aren't being like, you get 6 months your refrigerator can run, and after that you have to pay a fee every month to make sure your refrigerator runs.
Don't give them ideas.
But it's getting ridiculous, and it's only there to keep feeding the never-ending profit beast that is because of corporate America.
So this is a very astute observation here. This person this is in response to the announcement on Reddit. Webster says if there are no new features, it should become a perpetual license. Why does a subscription exist for something Adobe is abandoning?
Yes.
Or just make Animate free for all, Adobe subscriber or not. Think of the marketing, think of the goodwill. But for the love of God, Adobe, stop thinking about rent seeking. Schmorky says, you really think Adobe would stop trying to squeeze every dime out of its users?
That's what I'm saying. And at least the price should be knocked back significantly. And that, at least should be the half price at this point. It's like when you have clearance items at the grocery store. Eventually, they're going to be, thrown away or completely gone, and because they're out of date, or they're close to their date. They're close up to date. They have to mark it down half price for people to take them, so they don't expire. That's what they need to be doing.
Yeah. Well, they bring it up in Cartoon Brew too. They said they need a perpetual license. Keeping it locked behind a monthly fee while offering no future innovation is bad optics. It's bad business. Adobe may have prevented an immediate crisis by reversing its messaging, but the episode reinforces long-standing concerns about transparency and control, and who ultimately bears the risk when subscription software reaches the end of its creative life. Now, here's a God. This sounds like a socialist thing, and I can't believe I'm proposing it. But given the circumstances, what the fuck? I'm a big advocate of open source software. Like I said before, the limitation is usually financial, because a lot of people are donating their time, or they just don't have the resources of a corporation. If you had enough animation studios get together and say, look, let's come up with an open source alternative, or and basically we just all donate to keep this software updated that we can use to make our productions. Maybe you do it in-house, right? You come up with your own system. The problem is a lot of these studios are competing with each other, right? But if you had some sort of like consortium that's like, look, for the good of the entire industry, let's come up with an open source alternative that we can use to make our shit not have to worry about paying Adobe forever, right? But I'm sure you're going to go.
You can call it Kneon.
Call it Kneon. There you go. There you go, guys. Yeah, I'm sure they've. Oh my God. Wouldn't people fucking love that? Wouldn't they love that? Like, oh my God, Clownfish TV doesn't know anything about the animation industry. Oh, what's the software everybody's using? Oh, it's Kneon from, oh my God, little
or
Clownfish.
Bubbly
Steve, little thing comes out. No, but I'm saying, like, in this case, because this is potentially an existential crisis. If you guys are fucking serious, get together, put your heads together, get some programmers, get some people that know what the hell they're doing, or find open source software that's almost there, and kick a couple of bucks their way and get it there, and then just be like, look, this is, you pay into the whatever kitty you get to use it, or you pay a one-time fee of, a couple $100. You get to use this forever. Nobody technically owns it. It's just like you get the license, and this is how we, make sure that we are, able to continue doing this, even if these companies pull this bullshit, right? That would be my suggestion. And that sounds very, I know it sounds very
that's easier said
socialist,
than
but
done.
It's easier said than done.
You know
like
how
I said,
to
you have a
use a
lot.
program, doesn't know you how to make the program. And
Well, that's
the
okay.
thing.
That is part of the problem too with, and this is a whole nother discussion, modern creatives having access to tools. Really you have, I think a lot of people have it too good now, because back in the day you had to figure out how to do everything yourself. And sometimes you had to come up with methods and techniques to do it yourself. And now people go to school to learn the software package. It does a lot of the work for you. Not saying you don't do work, but it's a lot easier now than using Photoshop's a lot easier than actually working with, actual film and negatives and all that stuff. But if I guess my thing is, again, is if you're serious, you'll come up with an alternative, because you can't trust any of these companies. You can't trust a single one. There could be a great new package that comes out next month and be like, oh yeah, guys, we're going to, perpetual license forever. Even Moho, it could be like, oh no, sorry, somebody came along with a couple $1 billion and bought us out, and that's it.
Yeah.
You're done. So I don't know. That's my idea. There we go.
All right,
Call
there
me
you
in.
go.
All right.
Their stock did go up a little bit, but I think most people see through the bullshit. You just took the dates off, but everything else is remaining the same, so it doesn't really change anything.
All right, we're going to wrap it up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.